Will you pray with me? Gracious God, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of all of our hearts be acceptable to you, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Amen. A woman walks in to a synagogue on the Sabbath, or more accurately, she shuffles in. She is so bent over that she cannot see more than a foot in front of her. Perhaps she holds on to the benches or sidles up along the walls to guide her way. Hardly anybody notices her, this bent over woman, except for Jesus. This is the powerful image that Luke offers us this morning. And as so often happens in his gospel, we are given a glimpse of life through the eyes of those at the margins, the poor, forgotten, the blind, hungry, and very often the women whose lives of childbearing and heavy labor and physical vulnerability and gender shaming leads to a very special kind of burden, one they often carry along with their invisibility. Luke brings her into focus for us this morning. Now, when I think of her, I cannot imagine what the world must have looked like to this bent-over woman. A sea of sandals and dust, her world limited to the 18 or so square inches that surrounded her feet, never able to see faces, never able to see the sunrise or the stars. That kind of weight is always more than physical. It binds us up in ways that limits the fullness of life. It gives us a distorted sense of the world. It burdens the soul. I think Luke wants us to feel all of that in this story. And so this woman is a real person, yes, with a real affliction, that is true, but she is also so much more. She is a symbol of our human condition. She is us. And the image of her walking slowly and painfully with her burden into that sacred place might resonate deeply with many of us. For how many of us walk into this sacred place each and every Sunday, weighed down by our burdens? We may look like we're standing upright and all is well, but we can feel as bent over as that woman. We are carrying all kinds of heavy things, and some days it's hard for us to lift up. For some of us, it might be shame or regret over life choices that have left us scarred or angry. For others, we might be held captive by self-criticism and doubt, or the lifelong echo of others' criticism of us. Some of us are burdened by a sense of failure or inadequacy brought on by the constant comparison and our competition with others. Some of us are buckling under a grief that won't let us go. Every Sunday, these pews are filled with more than just our bodies. And yet, I also know that there are many who feel their burdens are too heavy to carry into this place. The ones who feel they can't walk through those doors just as they are, and so they stay home. Sometimes when I reach out to someone who hasn't been here for a while, they tell me they've been going through a really hard time, and they just can't bring themselves to come to church. They don't want to let their pain show. They think it's not appropriate to bring their sadness or their grief here. Everyone just seems so happy there on Sunday morning, they tell me. And they're just not up to it. This breaks my heart more than anything. It breaks my heart that people are afraid to bring their whole selves here. It breaks my heart that they feel that their pain is not welcome. For if there is one place where you should know it's okay to be a mess, where you should know your burden will be shared, it should be here, in the safe space of this sanctuary, our home. But that's not how it always feels. I know that. I think of that leader of the temple, that Pharisee who wanted to turn the woman away, who after she got up enough courage to bring her burdens to the synagogue, told her, this isn't the time or the place. The Sabbath is sacred, he tells her. Come back some other time. I wonder how often that's the message we get when we come to church in pain. Do we feel we have the right to be here? Do we feel welcome as we are? And yet, lest we judge those Pharisees, let's consider the burdens they are carrying. In their desire for religious righteousness, it seems to me that they are actually suffering too from their own kind of weight, their own kind of chains. They are bound to an adherence to religious law that limits the big picture of God's grace for them. I believe that in their hearts they truly feel they are acting on behalf of God. They are following the rules. They are obeying the teachings. But as so often happens, that thing which is supposed to give us life can too often distort it and limit it. The law then becomes a substitute for compassion or grace or mercy, and it keeps God's love contained in a box. And those who carry it bear a burden every bit as debilitating as that bent-over woman. What spirit is crippling your life, limiting your vision, restricting your possibilities? For we are all bound with something that prevents us from living as fully as God intends. Now, it may be more visible to some of us than to others, but we've all got something. And if we wish to be set free, we must look at our own lives and dare to name those chains that bind us. Because just as we say before our prayer of confession, only when we can acknowledge our brokenness can we truly be healed. This brave woman brought her brokenness to Jesus. She did not keep it hidden from him. She got close enough to him to hear him whisper, "Woman, you are set free." Imagine that, set free. Imagine the possibilities of what that would feel like. Imagine how that might open up our vision when our sight is no longer limited to the ground at our feet, when our backs are no longer bent over by spirits of failure or loss or grief or anger that we bear. You know, when Jesus first launched his ministry early in the Gospel of Luke, it was on the Sabbath day. It was perhaps in the very same synagogue. And he stood before the people and he told them that he has come to bring good news to the poor and freedom to the captive and to open the prisons of those who are bound, physically and spiritually. And this woman is all of the above. She embodies all that Jesus came to save. And as he heals her, he liberates her. Luke tells us that she'd been held captive like that with this illness for 18 years. 18 years being the symbolic number in Judaism for life. Jesus gives her a new life. He breaks her head. He lifts her chains. He offers her a new vision of the world on the Sabbath. What else is the Sabbath for, if not liberation, he says to the crowds. What is the Sabbath for, if not for praising God? The Pharisees accused Jesus of bad timing. God's miracle can happen another day, they say. For Jesus, it couldn't. For Jesus, the Sabbath is the perfect day to experience who God is and what God does. It's the perfect time to drop our burdens and to reach our arms out and to look each other in the eye and to give thanks to God. It's the perfect time to take in the wonder and the beauty of the world and to celebrate. The Sabbath is a perfect day for looking up. And today is our Sabbath day. It's our day for dropping our burdens, for letting God take them, really, so that just even for one day we are not defined by the things that weigh us down. It's a time for remembering that we do not worship a God who wants to tie us up with rules and obligations, but a God who wants to open our eyes, wants us to take a deep cleansing breath and rest in the beauty and the wonder of being human in this world. A God who can see us under all that stuff we carry, who knows that we suffer much and wants to take those burdens for us. God who laughs and dances and plays and sings out of sheer love for the world and wants us to do the same. And that is what this woman felt. After 18 years, she can feel the sun on her face. After 18 years, she can look into her child's eyes. After 18 years, she can see the wind dancing in the wheat field and the smoky blue of the distant hills and the shimmer of evening stars. After 18 years of cramped and narrow vision, the full beauty of God's world is open to her. And suddenly she is standing up, straight and tall, looking Jesus in the eye and giving thanks to God. She is having a Sabbath moment. And that is what awaits us here and now on our Sabbath day. A moment to remember who God is. A moment to rest in the wonder and beauty and grace, the possibility of all of our lives that God intends for us. This is the day to let go of the weights we carry and to look up. This is that day for us. We are set free. Thanks be to God. Amen. Amen.